Hey YouTubers, today we're going to be talking about Betty Boop. Will the real Betty Boop please stand up? But before we get into the video, can you guys hit that subscribe button for me before we start? Thank you. Did you guys know that the iconic cartoon character Betty Boop was really inspired by a black jazz singer in Harlem? So the reason why Esther Lee Jones coined the phrase boop oop padoop, it's because it was the style of singing that she did. Born Gertrude Saunders, also known as Betty Esther, who in the 1920s used to perform in various nightclubs in Harlem, including the Cotton Club, coined the phrase boop boop de doop because it was a style of singing invented by this black Harlem jazz singer. And again, her name was Esther Lee Jones, also known as Betty Esther, and her maiden name was Gertrude Saunders, so she had a few aliases. So before, Betty Boop was whitewashed for everyone and the world to think that she was white. It was a black woman, and PBS did confirm that Betty Boop, the popular cartoon character introduced to the world by cartoonist Max Fletcher in the 1930s, she was actually inspired by a real-life African-American jazz singer and entertainer from Harlem named Esther Jones. So PBS confirmed it. So Esther Jones did her act in the 1920s, which was kind of revised in the 1930s, with a white woman being trained to perform every aspect of the act that she did in the 1920s. And PBS is a reputable source. But unfortunately, when her character became the first and most famous sex symbol in animation, she was whitewashed, and most people have no idea where the original inspiration came from. So to this day, most people don't know that the inspiration for the cartoon character Betty Boop came from a black jazz singer who in real life was Betty Boop because she coined the phrase boop boop de doop as she was singing, and also performed in the style of the cartoon character Betty Boop. She had a popular cabaret act at the infamous Cotton Club in Harlem, New York, where she sang with unique vocal style that featured boop boop a doops and other similar scat songs. That very style of singing was imitated by the Betty Boop animation character. So initially, Betty Boop was shown in cartoons as an African American woman. She appeared in at least one animated scene in the popular Popeye, the Sailor Man series. That's way back in the 20s. In the 1930s, the Betty Boop character was transformed into a cartoon character, and it did not feature a black woman, it featured a white woman, and remained so until the Betty Boop character was finally retired. Because remember, we had segregation, the KKK, and just racist policies across America. There are still racist policies across America today. However, I'm speaking about that period of time where it was unheard of for a black woman to be the representative of anything. to represent the first cartoon character of this sexy bombshell woman who is supposed to be Betty Boop. And so when the cartoon came out, the face was quickly replaced from being black to being white. It's estimated that the Betty Boop franchise generated millions of dollars in revenues from television networks and sales of merchandise. Meanwhile, the very woman who inspired the character, Betty Esther, the jazz singer, never was compensated in any way. She never saw one blind cent for them using her act, her persona, and her phrase, boo boop be doop. Today in 2022, it would be considered copyright infringement. In fact, she never really achieved any mainstream success. During her entire career, she was mostly only known locally in New York City, and she reportedly died at a very young age. She's, however, mentioned in many documentaries and books about the Harlem Renaissance, and her legendary way of singing does live on in the iconic Betty Boop character. Esther Lee Jones was born in 1918. The date of her death is unknown. Her stage name was Betty Esther or Little Esther. She was an American singer who sang in a child-like manner, a child entertainer of the late 1920s. And she was known for interpreting popular songs with a mixture of seriousness and childish mischief. After gaining attention in her hometown of Chicago, she became an international celebrity before leaving the public spotlight as a teenager. She had several aliases: Little Esther, Baby Esther, Young Florence Mills, Second Florence Mills, Manicure Florence Mills, Esther Lee Jones, and Little Esther. All of these childhood names were because she was a child. In a 1932 interview with Fletcher, he said she was 16 years old. Now, Helen Kane, a white woman who was trained to act and perform and sing, like the original Betty Boop, the black jazz singer, sued Fletcher Studio. So in 1932, when singer Helen Kane sued Fletcher Studio, claiming that they had appropriated her persona for the voice of cartoon character Betty Boop. Now remember, she did not originally came up with this act. It was the black jazz singer whose act she misappropriated. So here comes Helen Kane in a way of the original Betty Boop, the singing style and the flirtatious manner of singing. And Helen Kane, her signature voice was, "I want to be loved by you." And then she would do this boo doop be doop at the end of the song. But that came from the original black jazz singer, Esther Jones or Little Esther. So when this white singer Kane decided to sue Fletcher Studio, they defended themselves by arguing that Kane's style of singing, characterized by her baby voice and use of the phrase Betty Boop-a-Doop, was not her own invention. So the case was Kane versus Fletcher. So when Fletcher Studio did the animation of Betty Boop, Helen Kane, sued Fletcher Studio. And the case was in court, and eventually the judge decided that the proof was insignificant and dismissed the case. And the white face of Betty Boop remained until today. Everyone believed that the original Betty Boop was white. In fact, she was not. So the takeaway here is Betty Boop was a black singer, jazz singer in Harlem, who invented that phrase, boo-doop be-doop, and sang in this childlike voice. So YouTubers, I'm over and out. If you like this video or the videos I've been giving you guys, please don't forget to hit that subscribe button before leaving the page. Thank you.